Hello and welcome. So, I'm going to kick straight off and talk about the astrology we've had this week and the astrology that's coming up and my thoughts on it. And yeah, really get deep into all of that because I don't know about you guys, but this week I have really felt the intensity of Saturn's energy. Now, I know I didn't get a chance to do reading on Monday, Christmas, etc. But Saturn has been playing a really big role recently, and oh my gosh, I have felt it hard. So let's talk about earlier in the week, we had Jupiter making a square to Saturn. That was on, I want to say Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was Christmas Eve. Obviously, depending where you're on the world, it might slightly shift. So that was the first one we had. Then today, which is Friday, we've got Mercury making a square to Saturn. So Jupiter first, then Mercury. We're in Capricorn season now. So the sun is in Capricorn, and the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn. So Saturn's the ruling planet. And we do have a new moon in Capricorn coming up on Monday, which I'm going to talk about as well. So, yeah, lots of Saturn energy. But also this week, we've had a lot of squares. So we've had, Jupiter squaring Saturn and Mercury today, which can bring about challenges, feelings of restriction. This is Saturn's influence, definitely. And I want to talk about it in a positive light because I've been reflecting on this so much recently, and I always feel like Saturn, I mean, if you follow me for some time, you know I like love Saturn. Because I think he gets a bad name. I think that we don't understand the magic and beauty of Saturn because he's just seen as the taskmaster or the disciplinarian or whatever. And while those things are true, it's like, but what we have to recognize is what Saturn brings us and what he wants for us, and that it's actually a form of love. And this is something I've been really getting in touch with. So I really, really want to talk about this a lot because Saturn, the way it's been showing up for me this week, and I just really want to see if this is reflected for you guys as well, that I've been really asked to focus much more on like what is absolutely necessary and removing that which isn't. So what Saturn really wants for us, because he loves us, right, is discernment around where am I spending all of this energy that I have? I only have a finite amount. That's Saturn. Saturn's the ruler of time. We only have so much to give. And where are we dumping it in places that don't actually align to our values? And this has been the biggest question on my mind all week. Now, it's been really jarring because obviously culturally, certainly in the UK, and I imagine other parts of the world as well, obviously, it's been Christmas this week, and Christmas is all about celebration and spending time with people. And I know that that's not going to be the same for everybody, but I've personally felt this real sort of like, energy around wanting to get life in order. Again, this is Capricorn, this is Saturn. Now, I do have a lot of Capricorn in my chart, so I might be feeling this more than everybody else, but there is very much also in the energy because of what I've said already, being in Capricorn season, all this sort of squares to Saturn and like wanting to kind of get things in order. So if that's how you've been feeling as well, and maybe finding this somewhat confusing because it doesn't, honestly, it's not felt for me like what the culture wants from us really has been what the energy is reflective of. It's not like been lots of astrology that's very celebratory, honestly. So I found that quite confusing, and honestly, I'm grateful today to be able to like get some stuff in order. I've got a little bit of time in between, Christmas, New Year, and actually being able to like get some things worked out. And that's what I want to come on to, this new moon in Capricorn that's coming up on Monday, which I may talk about in a different video as well, but I want to talk about it here because again, I'm really feeling this energy. So this new moon is really a great time. So because it's in Capricorn and it's a new moons are about setting intentions around the new cycle, the next upcoming cycle. And with this being in Capricorn, it's really about asking us to sort of get in alignment with what actually matters to us so that we can live out our purpose. Because Capricorn traditionally rules the 10th house in astrology. It might not rule your 10th house, but it is the ruler of the 10th house. And the 10th house is really about like soul purpose and the work that we came here to do. So when we have a new moon in Capricorn, it's really about laying the foundation and the groundwork for the next 6 months, really, or maybe even a year, arguably, but 6 months, because we have the full moon in Capricorn in 6 months' time. You have the full larger cycle, so you have smaller cycles, which is like one lunar cycle, right, from the beginning to the end of that lunar cycle, and then you have the signs full cycle. So new moon in Capricorn to full moon in Capricorn is about 6 months. So it's a really, really good time to start setting the intentions and laying the groundwork for what we're trying, our bigger sort of lofty goals that we're trying to go towards. And what Saturn loves is more about like the breaking the big picture down into small steps so that we can achieve that. And this is a really good time to start doing that. So once again, like I've been saying for like months, it feels like, it probably hasn't been months, but it feels like months. It's not a time to take massive action right now, but this doesn't mean doing nothing exactly, right? It's more about like, right now anyway, is more about laying that foundation. So starting to get clear with ourselves of like, what is that bigger picture? Sagittarius helped us with this too, although I would say Sagittarius season was confusing for us all with Mercury and everything. But what's the big picture? And then how do we now break that down into the steps, right, of what we actually need to be doing? And the thing I really want to hone in on, because I just feel so strongly about this right now, as you may be able to tell, is that it's really not about trying to do all of the things, right? This is not Saturn's domain. I think this is where people get things mixed up with Saturn. It's like he's hardworking and it shows up and it's all about discipline and showing up. Yes, on the right things. So in order to know what the right things are, we have to take time to reflect, right? That's now. Reflection, pausing. What is it that's actually important to me? What do I want to spend more time on? What are my values? Am I living in alignment with them? What would I have to do? And that's a little bit of Saturn, right? The doing. To actually live in alignment with what I say is important to me, and what are those steps. So that's what this new moon on Monday is going to be really, really helping us to do, because what I love about this time of year, I actually love Capricorn season, even though, again, Capricorn is seen as like cold or heavy or whatever, like Saturnian, darky, inky stuff. I find it very helpful because I'm like suddenly like get this laser focus of like, right, let's cut out the noise. Let's stop doing that. That's like wasting my energy. And I'm really enjoying his discernment and helping me to be like, get clearer on where I'm like overextending myself and pushing too much in things that just don't have much return. It's like, it really feels like a sort of, you can like, what's the expression? It's like you can do anything but you can't do everything, and that's great. That's a good thing. We don't want to do everything because that would exhaust and burn us out. So that's, again, maybe I've harped on about that enough now. But I'm really feeling this, and I'm honestly so grateful for Saturn. And if you also want to kind of pay an ode to Saturn, like Saturn's color is black, so I'm like wearing black, like literally, I don't know if you can see it very well, but everything I'm wearing is black. I'd normally paint my nails, but I just haven't got around to it, but I will. So wearing black and like being in the darkness, these are really great ways to honor Saturn, and like generally removing something, getting rid of something, like, or like stopping yourself from doing something. It's about restriction. So a nice offering to Saturn is about like, I often give offerings to Saturn more in that form of not so much here's a physical thing, which you can do, but also more like, for example, I am going to stop eating chocolate every day would be a really good offering to Saturn. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but that's the kind of thing you mean, where it's like, what are you going to stop doing? What is it that you know is kind of like, don't really want to do that anymore, and I'm going to reduce the amount that I'm doing these things that are somewhat either destructive or just not conducive to who I'm trying to become. This is the soul purpose stuff, right? What I'm trying to move into. So if you want to honor Saturn, then I would do that, or something like that. Give some kind of offering of restriction. And that can be anything you want. That could be, I'm not going to spend loads of money on takeaways anymore or something. You know what I mean? Like something where you're not being overly abundant, actually. Well, what should I say? Like, it's more, yeah, not excessive. That's the word, not abundant. Where are you doing too much excess? And like removing some of that. So maybe I have made enough of a point about that. So I am going to now read some cards for this weekend. So looking at the energy of this weekend. And yeah, let me know in the comments if any of that's resonated for you, if you felt this Saturnian energy. There we go. Thank you. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'll show you in a minute. What are the energies that we're might be experiencing over this weekend, please? Ooh, hello. Oh, yeah, right, I saw that. It was a Sun and Capricorn card. Love it. Literally so on the nose. Yeah. Okay. Let's get one more, please. So yeah, anyone who's got strong Capricorn placements is a Capricorn rising. You may be feeling this more. I know I am, as I have already expressed. One more card, please. But I do find, yeah, when I'm in Capricorn season, it's just like, oh, I've remembered like why this is so brilliant, you know? Sometimes I'm like, ugh, but no, I love it now. Okay, one more card, please, of the energies of this weekend. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, this is right. Okay, here we go. So we have here 3 of Swords, actually. So yeah, there's a bit of a heaviness at the moment. I do feel like when Mercury is squaring Saturn, so that's what we've got today, and obviously we may feel some of this over the weekend because we're kind of in the weekend now. It is a little bit of a heavy energy. Like, despite the fact that I am excited about the help from Saturn and want to forever teach people about Saturn, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is like a light, easygoing energy, right? So there could be a little bit of heaviness this weekend. This is a Saturn card. Yeah, it's Saturn in Libra. That's Saturn's glyph right there. Yeah, and like maybe there's some processing that needs to happen this weekend as well, like around some grief. This kind of often speak of grief. It says sorrow as well at the bottom of the card. It says sorrow. Yeah, so okay, little bit of a heaviness. And again, I would say I'm already feeling that, frankly. But then we've also got, so Sun and Capricorn card. So that is the Sun glyph. That is the Capricorn glyph there. Power. See, that's what I mean? Like, Capricorn is powerful, you know? Capricorn is authority. Now, what I love about this card is it's really about structure, bringing structure in, you know, like, because if you look at the artwork, it's literally like a boundary. Now, the way I think of Saturn is like, this is a great analogy, actually, if I say so myself. So the way I think of Saturn is like the necessary boundary that makes something actually more enjoyable. So let's say you've got like sand and you want to play in a sandbox, right? The box that it's in is like Saturn that contains the sand, but without the container, it's just like everywhere, and it's just like there's no like the limits is what actually makes it fun, because now you've got this area of like play, and it's like it brings safety. And I think that this is really giving me that kind of image of like, you know, this square and then all of this space in the middle. It's like creating structure, create like a desire to create structure, because this is the energy over the weekend of like what we might be feeling like. So this sort of really speaks of that. It can also speak of just like generally like focusing more on money and finances as well. When we're talking about Capricorn, it can be quite financially like driven. But yeah, I'm feeling like a more sense of like wanting to get things in order. Like that is what I have been feeling and craving, actually, just like order and systems so that things don't feel so chaotic and confusing. And then we've also got here 8 of Discs, Prudence, which is Sun in Virgo card. Now, obviously it's not Virgo energy, but Virgo still gives me like showing up for like service and duty and attending to details. This is what this card is very much about. Like Prudence is about like, you know, the shadow side is that you're spending too much time on details and not enough on like bigger picture. But I do feel like it is a combination of both. We need to see the bigger picture and then break down the details, right? And I love that the cards are so reflective of like what I've been talking about here, because yeah, it's very much the vibe. Okay, so potential challenges over this weekend, please. Right. Interesting. Really, really interesting. Okay. We've got the Lovers. The Lovers is actually about like sorry. My brain just went for a second then. It was like trying to say 5 things at once. Okay, so the Lovers speaks of like choice and speaks of values. So again, the important thing here is to not just take action for the sake of action. It's about getting aligned with our values first, right? Now, with this being in the challenge, it's maybe a little bit hard to see what those values are, or feeling a little conflicted around what your values are. And like, because we need to start with that before we then decide how we're going to spend our time, Saturn again, right? So that's really interesting that we've got that in the challenge, because it feels like it's actually going to be really important to look at our values so that we know what actions to take. Like, so for instance, let's put that in an example. If you know that you really value like being healthy and having vitality, and that's like really important to you, then your actions need to reflect that. But if it wasn't important to you, then maybe your actions wouldn't reflect that so much. So you start with that and you kind of like build off of that. So maybe it's a little confusing as to what your priorities are. That might be it. There could be challenges around, well, what is it that's important to me? So spend some more time in reflection on that. If that is what's coming up for you this weekend, of like, before I decide what my big plan is and how I'm going to spend my days, let's spend more time on this kind of values aspect of it. Okay. Best part of the weekend, please. I'm loving this reading so far. Ooh, wow. Okay, this is interesting. Best part. There's something about walking away this weekend. Now, especially, this is interesting because we have the 3 of Swords here as well. And 3 of Swords, again, like we talked about, has this feeling of like grief and loss. And this is about walking away. But it feels like it's, this is so interesting. Like walking away from something that you've been trying to walk away from some time, and it may be bringing you a sense of relief. I love this. So it feels like sometimes we often associate like walking away from something as being like painful. And while that could be true, it's like what I'm seeing with this being in the best part is that it's actually going to feel great to do it. And like some kind of relief or burden has been lifted. Because again, like with all this emphasis around discernment and how we spend our time and like going like, do you know what? I'm putting a lot of time in that thing and it's not really that important. I've reflected on my values and it actually doesn't really make sense anymore. Maybe it did make sense and it was something that was fulfilling me and giving me joy and stuff, and now things have shifted and so much has changed that actually I don't want to spend all that time there anymore. And then walking away from that is actually going to be like, oh, hallelujah, like freedom. That's just the vibe I'm getting. I love that. Okay, guidance over this weekend, please. What are we being guided to do over the weekend? Oh, sorry, a few cards have flipped around there. Let's put those back. Oh dear, they've all got a bit messed up. One moment. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? Guidance over this weekend. It's taking a little while to come out. I feel like we have talked a lot about it, to be fair. Oh, I love this. Yeah, okay. So we've got 9 of Cups, happiness. Now, again, like, it feels like I don't want us to feel weighed down by this stuff. It's like, what is it that fulfills you? What is it that makes you emotionally happy? Put that at the forefront and then plan around that. Like, this is a golden opportunity. Oh, that's what I'm hearing. Interesting. Not a term I would normally say. A golden opportunity to, like, really put your happiness first and then make the rest of your life fit that, because it's like, it's your life, you know, that you get one chance at this. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is going to get really deep. I can feel it. So see this planning as like a lovely thing to do rather than just like a grindy thing, right? It's like, no, because it's about supporting your happiness, supporting your well-being, supporting your purpose, supporting why you're here and the work you're meant to do, so that you can like walk away from the rest and just be like, no, like I don't need this anymore. So spend time getting clear on your values, get some details and structures in order this week as well. I love this so much. Oh my gosh, I hope that was helpful. And again, I know this might feel a little odd because this time of year is so associated with celebration, but honestly, I think it's time to get our heads down and do the work, but like, again, not in this way, like in a, I want to get my life together now. I want to make sure it suits me. So I hope that's helped you, and I will see you all in the next video. As always, if you've enjoyed this, liking it, leaving a comment, and subscribing if you don't already subscribe really helps support the channel. So thank you so much. I know I'm always asking you, but it really, really does help. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Mwah! Bye.